Hello everyone and welcome to RTV's live coverage of the aftermath now of Hurricane Dorian. The death toll rises to 20 as rescue and relief efforts continue in Abaco and Grand Bahama. Late this afternoon, the Minister of Health, Dr. Dwayne Sands, confirming 17 deaths in Abaco and 3 in Grand Bahama. This as a medical team and medical teams transport dozens of injured here to the capital for treatment. As of Tuesday, the U.S. Coast Guard moved 61 people in total, 3 from Grand Bahama. We are still waiting for final numbers from the rescue efforts today. Survivors desperate to get off the islands also began touching down here in the capital today. We have a lot to get caught up on tonight. For the second straight night, though, the Prime Minister will update the nation on recovery efforts. As soon as that press conference begins, we will go live to Nima to carry it. Well, the National Security Minister Marvin Dames leading a high-level team on an assessment trip today, but not before issuing a word of caution about the inflammatory social media reports alleging rioting and looting.
But just be careful of those social media reports. We cannot take our resources and send them to areas to investigate things, and the reporting is false. We have already found that out as a result of a number of reports. Remember, every report that is put out there, false or true, has to be investigated. And if we keep sending our first responders to areas where the reports are false, that would be resources being taken away from this fight. So I caution members of the public, let's be careful and responsible as we go about the business of protecting our brothers and sisters. Please, I beg you, these are serious times, and we have to ensure that there are calm heads throughout, and that we're taking our energies and putting it towards helping our brothers and sisters on Abaco and Grand Bahama and the adjacent keys. And so the Commissioner, myself, and the Commodore are going down. We've been given the green light by the Prime Minister to go down and on the ground to have a look at the situation there. And we're grateful to our brothers in DEA, the U.S. government, for accommodating us. They have been nothing short of tremendous. And DEA have been with us in this fight since the early 1980s. And they continue to rise to the occasion. And that's DEA, Coast Guard, the Army, FBI, and certainly our CARICOM brothers as well. And so God bless our affected islands, and God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Odyssey Airport busy all day. There was a steady stream of injured victims landed by the U.S. Coast Guard. It was also where the first evacuees sat down. Vaughn Aubrey was there and witnessed quite a bit of families reuniting.
I was in the house, it receded up to my waist, and I said, oh Lord, what's going on here? So I...
Happy scenes here at the airport here in Nassau as another flight just came in, bringing in folks from Marsh Harbor, Abaco. Tell us about your hurricane experience. How was it?
I had to run for my life. I had to run for my life all day.
You had to run for your life all day. How did you do it?
We had to run out the house, grab my mommy and my little niece and nephew, ran to the car. We stay in the car. We had to run out the car, run in other people's house, all that thing. That's happy to be home.
And Cordell's sister Nadia Kalma is a registered nurse in Marsh Harbor. Not easy, eh?
No, sir. It was very rough, very rough. I wasn't stationed at the clinic, so I was home in my house, and my roof caved in, and we had to find shelter. That was before the eye of the hurricane came, so it was still rough. Things were still flying around. I had to have my baby in my hand and my toddler on my arm, and we had to run to someone's house. And we were literally in a one-bedroom, one-bathroom efficiency with 40 persons for shelter before it was calm enough for us to get other places. And then we had to travel miles in water just to get to a bus for them to transport us to the government complex or the government clinic for shelter.
That must not have been easy. Two children, your mother, your brother, and other family members.
And my aunt, yeah, we were all together. And then I had my coworker who's a nurse. We were there too. She had her family, and then we still had to go to work. So we worked doing sutures, dressings. Like we worked from Sunday to today. Before I left, we were still working.
Were there a lot of injuries?
A lot, a lot of injuries. We sent out the most critical patients. That's why today we were able to leave.
What do you want Bahamians throughout the Bahamas to know about what you endured?
It was very devastating. I I went through Hurricane Floyd in 1999, but I was a child, so it's nothing like having your own children and going through a hurricane. It was the most scariest thing I've ever encountered.
How did you keep your children calm?
My daughter cried the whole time, and even as she slept, she was jumping in her sleep because of fear. She was scared to drown. There was so much water. All I kept telling her is, "Mommy have you. Mommy is not gonna let anything happen to you."
Did you see any death around you?
Yes, sir. When we came out of our apartment, as the eye was about to approach us, things were still flying. There was a mother screaming. Her little boy was drowning, and Cordell went and dived him up. But by then, it was too late. He was already gone.
There you have it. Some of the stories that are coming out of Abaco today. As a reporter, we hear these stories, we see the video, we can't help but become emotional over them, and we give thanks to the workers. The workers. This is a registered nurse. She endured the storm and still had to go to work. We we thank you
Thank
for
you.
your service. And Jerome, all I can say is back to you in the studio.
Well, among the first arrivals at the airport today was East Grand Bahama resident Charles Lang, who talked about his hours or the hours that he endured in the water.
I was in the house. It receded up to my waist, and I said, "Oh Lord, what's going on here?" So I was holding on to the air condition, and when it receded, I went out next door to check my aunt's house to see if it's okay to be in there. When I get there, her door done blown in. I said, "Let me get back." And when I went back, and a couple hours later, the wind shift ran to the south, and everything, all the waves was coming straight, and the sea come up again from the south. It was a nightmare, but thank God I'm here.
How high did the water get?
It got up to my chest, and I was standing in a chair, holding on to the air condition, to split the unit, yeah. It was a total mess. The town is destroyed. Everything, everything, everything.
So has everyone been accounted for in Pelicans
There was
Point?
only 3 people there. Me and 2 folks from Pittsburgh, 2 white folks, and their house is destroyed. Because they have to come across from their home, because after is the split level, the whole top gone, and the door blew in. My dear, it's a total destruction.
Abaco resident Danon Tynes was able to fly to Marsh Harbour and Treasure Key today. He was able to evacuate 3 senior citizens and is heartened by the resilience of the people.
Treasure Key has seen its better days. Now, we saw some places when we flew over Treasure Key proper where people were collecting and being in certain places and areas where we saw a collective amount of people scattered around in certain buildings. But we didn't get a chance, of course, to get down and walk around. But then we came down to Treasure Key Airport where we landed, and there were 3 individuals there, elderly people, and
No word on the
got
press
those
conference,
and
right?
brought them to Nassau.
Injured?
No one is injured. Yeah.
Death? Any reports? Anything that you could tell me?
We had reports, but I can't say anything because that's an official count. The government has to release that. This is the second time I've gone and for hurricane relief, and this one is. I was thinking that if we land to the airport, you're going to see everybody running and trying to get onto the airplane. No, everybody's like, okay, how can we help, what do we do, and you know, we have fuel over there. We're going to need some fuel. We're going to need this. We're going to need that, and you know, make sure these things are in place. And we were like, wow, you know, the resilience was like it was filling your heart with joy, you know. And now you just want to help them.
There are many organizations already pledging to help. One is Project Hope, based in Washington, D.C. Mortician Delany Penn-Mackey is also a volunteer with that. But we're going to allow you now to hear the folks from that project to hear what they have to say about what they're here to do.
We're based in Washington, D.C. We have a really big volunteer list of people who want to come and help. And what we do is try to set up medical teams and medical programming for people who are most vulnerable after a storm like this.
And hearing about the storm, and now being on the ground here in Nassau, what are your impressions?
I've been doing this for a long time, and Project Hope as an organization has responded to 45 disasters all around the world. This is one of the worst we've ever seen. Just complete devastation. It's like somebody ran a steamroller over the entire island. So we're looking to get in where folks are needed the most.
And we're also so grateful to have a partner in Project Hope International. It's given us a bit more wind under our wings, given us legs to get up and actually run into Abaco, and we're going to be running right in there as soon as we get it all clear to get out and help the persons who need help.
We put this project together too to get into Abaco to help our brothers and sisters. They're hungry, they're thirsty, they have no clothes, but we would like to get a flyover. We want to see where her family's place is. Is there anything left? You know, so we're just happy to be here and to partner with Hope, because they're helping us tremendously, and they're our main blood vein right now.
As we started to tell you, Mortician Delany Penn-Mackey is also a volunteer with Project Hope, but her primary concern is the fate of her family, including a mother who lives in North Abaco.
My entire family live in Abaco, and they all live in the northern part of Abaco.
One that was impacted the most, yes, sir.
Okay, we don't know how it's been impacted because we've gotten no reports. We've only heard about Marsh Harbor. We've only heard from Marsh Harbor to Treasure Key, and a few persons being rescued from Blackwood. But what about the areas like Cooperstown, Mount Hope, Foxtown, Cedar Harbor, Crown Haven? We don't even know if that part of Abaco even exists at this particular time, because they live on the coastline. And that hurricane, the last time I would have heard from my mom, I was told that they had to evacuate because the water was up to the roof.
Did they?
Yes, and where were they going to go? We have persons down there. A lot of old people live in that community. We also have a lot of sick persons. I know my mom is a diabetic. My aunts are diabetic, and we don't know if they have medication. We don't know if they have food. We don't know anything. And so I'm in a state of desperation. I just want to at least be able to fly over that area. And in fact, you know, we have formulated a group. We've gotten the morticians together. As you know, I'm a mortician, and we are flying into Marsh Harbor to go and retrieve and to try and see if we can get you know, those bodies, to see if we can, you know, pull in some dignity along with it. However, I'm devastated because I don't know if I'm going to be collecting the remains of my own family.
Well, as we told you earlier, Odyssey Airport hummed with the sounds of incoming and outgoing aircraft today. It was also where many of the first survivors touched down here in the capital. Jessica Robertson was at that airport today. Just begin to put into context for us what it was like. You're witnessing, you know, first of all, people who are injured coming in, but you're also witnessing folks who have made it out alive. I mean, what was the scene like, if you could paint that picture for us?
Well, Jerome, it was busy down at Odyssey, and hats off to Odyssey, because they really have just turned their facility over to this effort. Outside, what they've done is they have set up a staging area, and they've blocked it off, and they're really doing a really good job of providing dignity and privacy to the people who are coming in. So to be honest, the helicopters are touching down on one side. They are bringing people into a makeshift triage center, it seems. The ambulances are right there, and so anyone who needs to go into the ambulance is put into the ambulance and taken away. So you don't even actually see these patients who are coming in. Those who are ambulatory, meaning they can walk, and they're okay. They are coming out, and a lot of them are coming over to a media tent, and there's a lot of local media, there's a lot of international media just camped out there. And so people are coming over, and you're able to talk to them and see what's going on. And there are people coming in from Abaco, from Grand Bahama, and it was really, it was amazing to hear some of the stories of survival. And I was able to talk to a few people. First up, we have Javon Cambridge and his young son, Simba. They and their wife and mother were brought in because she had an injury to her arm from before the storm, but she needed to come in for medical attention. So they came in. They're from Marsh Harbor. And then next up is Stephen Roll from Marsh Harbor as well. So we'll just play those clips, and you can just hear what people went through.
Where have you just come in from? Marsh Harbor. Tell me about the last couple of days.
It's a lot. It's horrible. It's chaos over there. You got people raiding the stores and stuff like that. So yeah, people are all over. It's a mess. It's a total mess.
What happened during the storm with your family? Where were you?
We were at home.
Where was home?
Crockett Drive. That's Crockett Drive, right in Marsh Harbor, middle of Marsh Harbor. And we got hit by a tornado in the storm. So half of our roof blew off. And I had to put my wife and son in the closet.
What was going through your mind? What was going through your mind as this was happening?
I just wanted them to be safe. I just wanted them to be safe. That's all.
So and then what happened?
Probably about 5 or 6 hours after the tornado hit, I made a conscious decision to carry everyone in the car. So we slept in the car for the first night, and then the sun came up that morning. We went to the clinic for shelter.
And what does it look like there?
Like I say, everything is destroyed. All the buildings are destroyed. All the poles are down. It's a disaster.
Have you ever seen?
Nothing like that. I've never seen nothing like that.
And you never could have imagined?
No, only in a movie.
So what do you do in Marsh Harbor?
I'm a captain. I'm a boat captain. I used to work for the ferry, Albies Ferry.
What do you think is next for you and your family?
Nassau, I think. I don't know. I don't think I'm going back. Not right now. We haven't made that decision yet.
Do you have family here in Nassau?
Yes, we do. We have family here, so.
So you got somewhere to stay?
We got somewhere to stay.
If you could tell me the one word to describe how you feel right now.
Relieved. I feel relieved to be out of Abaco.
Tell me a bit more, because we've been hearing the stories of the looting and armed bands of men going around. Is there truth to this situation?
No. It's not like that as yet, but you got a lot of people raiding the stores and stuff, so they're trying to survive. Trying to survive.
It's a disaster, man.
Tell me about it.
You got people everywhere. You got the medical staff doing everything that they can do. EMS, you got the defense force, you have doctors there. You know, you have a lot of injuries going on, deaths as well. Can't confirm how many. You have deaths.
Inside the hospital?
No.
Okay.
Not inside the hospital. My homes were in Leisurely. I lost everything. Hopefully anyone that's seeing this, person still in Leisurely, may be trapped in their homes as well. Hopefully they can get a team out there. My family is in Freeport. I just heard from them. Everyone over there is okay. So that's excellent. Feel good for that. Just have a 3-week-old baby that's in Orlando, and that's why I left from there, because I need to be with them.
Tell me about when the storm hit.
The storm, I don't even know what day it is. To be honest with you, I lost days. I don't know.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday?
Yeah.
When did the storm hit? Maybe
Saturday?
Sunday. We were in the apartment together. This couldn't have been a Cat 5. If they had a category for this had to have been like an 8. We were trapped inside our apartment. We were trapped inside our apartment. The wind came, blew every window out. I had to improvise, use a drop cord actually. He had to hold the other end. We had to make a run for it out during the winds. The only thing which saved our life is our pump truck. We have a business in Abaco. We had to huddle up in our pump truck. The glass started to break. We just had to stick through it. The eye came, and that's what also saved us to head over to the clinic. The clinic is basically one out of two shelters that's holding up, that's strong, and everyone is going there. It's crazy.
So you were saying that it was getting really bad?
My name is China.
China?
Yeah. China made it. I have some family coming to pick me up once we get settled in. I think he's staying somewhere out east. Once we get settled in and cleaned up and all that stuff, we'll call you.
Her dad's going to take her straight to the veterinary clinic to get her checked out, but it looks like she's okay. She just drank 2 full bottles of water. We're going to go fill it up some more.
I'm a sucker for a puppy.
Jessica, there are so many emotions, so many stories out there. I was so taken when the guy said he was relieved.
Yeah, that was the last word I thought was going to come out of his mouth when I asked him that question.
Good stuff. We'll get to a lot more later. Well, Grand Bahama residents awoke to a completely different reality today. Nearly 2 days of horrific storm conditions have left a trail of destruction. Kyle Joaquin spent the day in East End, Grand Bahama.
There's nothing else I could do, and then have all of the windows of every houses around here just blown in. I broke down because I never expected this. I thought we had water so far that we could have just come in and pull out the carpets and take out some sheetrocks and start again. But I never knew the entire structure had just demolished.
Left in tears, Mildred Johnson came to her home in East Grand Bahama this morning only to find the frame, their precious belongings scattered about.
I cannot believe this. This is where the kitchen was with the cabinets. All of them are gone. That's where the bedrooms and stuff and all the nice furniture we had, everything is gone. Can't even find the dressers or nothing, everything. All the TVs and all the dishes and all the clothes and everything is just totally gone.
We lost everything.
Everything.
Everything. What you see I'm wearing is what was given to me.
With their kitchenware scattered throughout the house and their vehicles busted, Johnson said it's hard to keep it together. But the story lies with her husband, Pastor Barry Johnson, who braved Dorian in his roof. He was trapped in there from Sunday to Tuesday.
But it's an air conditioning unit, blower unit, and that's what I was on top of.
Wow.
Yes.
At any point while you were in the ceilings, did you think that you probably would not make it?
That crossed my mind. And I said if the water come up too high, I would try and swim out somehow.
The damage here on the eastern end of Grand Bahama is severe. Take a look at this strip of homes here. Major damage to every last one of these homes. And as for this home here, the entire wall is gone. Concrete scattered all about. No sign of windows, and the entire western wall of the home ripped out. Many of the homes in the eastern portion of Grand Bahama were destroyed. Over in Emerald Bay, Reverend Lloyd Roll's 2-story home barely made it.
You see where the water was. See, the water was upstairs, but
the watermark is up there.
No, it's upstairs.
It's upstairs.
This is the complete height on the inside, and so you go up the stairs there. When you get to the top, the water's also upstairs.
Wow.
In here. And that's why I busted. You walk upstairs. Let me show you something here. When the water got upstairs, I busted that hole.
The hole right there.
And the 2-story attic. See the water there? See?
Yeah, this is the watermark here.
That's watermark, but it was also upstairs. I busted that.
Just in case you had to go in there.
Just in case I had to climb higher ground.
He says after more than 20 years of enduring storms in his home, Dorian is the last straw, adding he will not rebuild in eastern Grand Bahama.
It's getting worse every single time. And so we always had 12 inches of water inside, 16 inches of water. But this time, with 14 feet of water, it's time to go.
Here well into the afternoon in East End, Grand Bahama, the floodwater is still preventing a lot of residents from getting to their families and friends who may be stuck in the back there. And just behind us, jeeps, vans, trucks, all stalled out by the floodwaters. And over here, what's left of UB North. Over on Grand Bahama Highway past Sir Jack Hayward Bridge, which takes you into East Grand Bahama, The road this afternoon was impassable, just in front of the University of the Bahamas' northern campus. The stalled-out vehicles along the road and in the yard tell the tale of those who tried to get out, but the vehicles just couldn't make it. Just beyond this blockage, home after home with people still waiting to be rescued. Not too far from there, we met this man, Piron Colebrook, who hadn't spoken to his family in Nassau since before the storm. With no communication and only his bicycle, he needed some help.
You sure that's the right number?
Yeah.
Okay, let's ring in.
Hey, Peaches. Yeah, man, I ran by the house and ain't nobody come yet to pick me up. I been around here 3 days and ain't need yet.
Hurricane Dorian, during his 2-day stop over Grand Bahama, left lots of damage across the island. For those in eastern Grand Bahama, there's not much but homes left in shambles. Back in the city, the damage was real as well. An airplane sits across the street from the airport. Boats in yards they weren't left in, and Grand Bahama International Airport busted. Not to mention the vehicles destroyed on the outside. Over at the crossing to get to Fishing Hole Road, police blocked it off as the debris was cleared, preventing many who live in the West End from getting home.
I went to my daughter up in Arden Forest, and the first time I ever seen a flood, never in my life I was seeing a thing out of all of my dress and walk out of water.
Cleanup has already started throughout the island with tractors moving tree limbs and other debris. At Folk Call Service Station, lines for gas stretched into the road. Sherlyn Williams watched as some got a bit rowdy.
This is kind of expected. That's the nature when people are, desperate. So things like this happen. But we got to stay calm and just wait your turn. It'll come.
Not far from there, Monica Mystic and her family stretched their furniture and clothing outside to dry. She said her decision to go through the storm at home was quickly changed once the water rose. What's worse, she can't swim.
We had to walk. All of this was water. I was so frightened. I was crying.
Where did you all go?
We went by a family member, and they went by the church, and where they went was flooded.
So you had to walk through the storm
to get there, and I mean that breeze was strong. I thought my time had come.
Then there's the heartbreaking tale of the tragedy at Grand Bahama Humane Society along Coral Road. We met volunteers and staff cleaning and letting the animals that survived out to play. But underneath this blue tarp lay the bodies of dozens of cats and dogs that didn't make it through the storm.
They're traumatized. Some of them still are. We have clients that had dogs here that came in, and to see the happiness that some made it, we've had some that's cried because their dogs didn't make it, unfortunately.
Now the good news is there's no more water left on the runway. The bad news is this is what is left of the airport. So there's no telling exactly when flights are going to start coming in and start leaving. Reporting from Grand Bahamas International Airport for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, our Kyle is live in Grand Bahama tonight. Kyle, what was it like for you today as you canvassed the island? I know, according to your report, you went all the way east and came back into Freeport. What was it like as you were canvassing today?
Jerome, it was, right now I'm speechless. I'm standing outside of the Ram Memorial Hospital, where obviously there's still a lot of activity going on post-Hurricane Dorian. As it stands now, as of 2 p.m., the death toll here in Grand Bahama stands at 3. You still have a lot of people who are unaccounted for, people still looking for their family members. We ventured down Queens Highway to the eastern, towards the eastern end of the island. We can only go as far as UB North, and we were stopped there because of the floodwaters. They were so high, and even along the roadway there was some trucks, jeeps, vans, all stalled off, and it was a telltale sign of people who tried to get down there to try and rescue their loved ones. But the rescue effort continued into today. Throughout the entire island, man, sheer destruction. We spoke with several people in eastern Grand Bahama in particular whose homes have been destroyed. People left, came back, they just came back to ruins. I spoke to a Mr. Barry Johnson. Pastor Barry Johnson, he spent the storm in the roof of his home, in the ceiling of his home from Sunday straight up until Tuesday, and he told me he survived off of some energy bars and a bottle of water. His wife sought shelter somewhere else. She came back to the house today and she broke down in tears at what she found. It was just a frame. Their kitchenware all over the house. I mean, the destruction here, Jerome, especially in eastern Grand Bahama, is real, and we're concerned about what we're going to find once the floodwaters go down a bit more in eastern Grand Bahama.
I have to ask you, what are you hearing? Are you getting any reports out of West End, 8 Mile Rock, that area? I know you can't get through because of the situation at the Fishing Hole Road and the causeway there. What are you hearing from that end of the island?
Well, when we went towards the fishing hole road today, that was closed off the time we were there because police were just trying to clear debris and all of that from in that area. And so a lot of people who lived in the western portion of the island who stayed inland during Hurricane Dorian were unable to get there at that time. But from what I'm hearing so far, it seems as though the western end of the island didn't get hit as badly as the eastern end of the island. I can be wrong because we have not gone there as yet. We plan on doing that tomorrow. But from what I hear, that part of the island is not been hit as badly as the eastern end.
Kyle, this is Jessica here.
Hi, Jessica.
What is the general sense of the people? I commented to Jerome when we were looking at the interviews that I did earlier with people who were evacuated, that people just seem very flat. It's no histrionics. There's not a lot of emotion in it. It's just people seem numb almost.
I would say numb because Grand Bahamians have been through this time and time again. We say this all the time. They've went through Floyd, Francis, Jean, Wilma, Matthew most recently. I wouldn't say they become numb to hurricanes, but they prepare as well as they can. But in terms of the aftermath, they never know what to expect. And now there's a level of uncertainty lingering over the island. People have loved ones, friends, family who they cannot reach. And so they do not want to fear the worst. But with hearing talks of an increasing death count, you do not know what to think. So for a lot of them, they're just trying to rebuild life as much as possible for those who would have lost homes or anything else. But there is still a lingering thought of what is out there. Our family and friends, what's of them? Are they still stuck in their roofs? What's become of them? And so there's a certain level of uncertainty here in Grand Bahama as to what is to come for the future.
I've got to ask as well, what are some of the critical areas in need on the island, in need of attention? Are there any areas where authorities or anyone that you have spoken with thus far are really keenly concerned about tonight?
Definitely the furthest end of the island, McLeanstown, as far east as you can get, because what we saw today was people literally pulling up with their jet skis in tow, trucks turning around because they thought they can make it and they could not. So people are really concerned as to what exactly is at the end there. They're still getting distress calls from people, but they still want to know, did we get everybody? Did we not get everybody? What is left out there? So I think the search effort definitely continues tomorrow here in the eastern end of the island for sure.
So really in Grand Bahama, you haven't even transitioned into a true assessment of damages and things. It really is still in search and recovery mode.
Certainly, still search and recovery. Search and rescue as well, though, Jessica. You have to say that because there is hope out there for those who are missing. People are holding on to hope here in Grand Bahama. They're still in high spirits. They're hoping for the best. They're trying to move on as best as they can. You know, with some with no power, no water, and still concerned as to where are our friends, where are our loved ones. So. The brotherly love continues. Those who can, they help out. Those who have trucks, who have jet skis, those who have tractors, they help out. They get out there and they get to work. And that must be the story coming out of Grand Bahama post-Hurricane Dorian, that we're all sticking together and we're going to get through this one together.
And what is the sense of what are people going to do now? Certainly in Abaco, there's so many areas of such extreme destruction and it's uninhabitable. Is Grand Bahama the same? Are we going to see the need for people to evacuate? Are there suitable shelters? Are there alternate places for people, as the people whose homes you visited today, for them to go for the time being?
I cannot say for sure as to where exactly those people whose homes were destroyed are going to go. I know for the most part, the two or three of them I spoke with today, they're staying with family members here. Those who stayed in shelters, I'm not exactly too sure where they're going to go, so I don't want to answer that question just yet, but that's certainly something we can look into tomorrow.
Kyle, thank you very much. Great reporting tonight. Continue to be safe. You guys have done a great job down there, you and your cameraman TJ. We all appreciate the work that you've done and under such extreme conditions. Thank you so very much. Jessica, one thing that he said tonight that stood out to me, holding on to hope.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what? If you don't have hope, you've got nothing else.
Most definitely. Well, we are still in need of your help in sharing the images from this storm. Be sure to send us your photos and videos at 802 News. 802 News, tracking Dorian 242 is the hashtag. Also, if you are looking for family members or want to let us know that you found someone, visit our News Bahamas Facebook page. That's our News Bahamas Facebook. And you can search in the photo galleries by settlement. Please let us know if you have found who you're looking for, or just let us know if we can help find a missing loved one. We still need you to send in a photo, though. If you are looking for someone, we certainly will be able to share that.
Ready? Yeah, I just want to let Lois Johnson, the Lutra, know that I just went out in Murphytown and located daughter Audrey and Taco. They all safe and they have some food. I told them they volunteered to stay at the house, but I tell them I'll bring some food back for them when they run out. But they volunteered to stay where they are. But they're good and fine. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This your brother Joseph Knowles in Abaco. My sister Barbara May. All the rest of my family. Don't worry about me, I'm fine. My house got damaged. My cars, but God be the glory, I'm good. I'm planning to answer as soon as I can get over here and see you guys. We thank you for the concern, but I'm fine. All my family is fine. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is me, all kids. I can't speak properly now because that's how happy I am where God has brought us from. Thank God. 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 Thank
you.
Millions in aid from around the world pouring in for victims of this storm. U.S. President Donald Trump, while giving an update on the hurricane from the Oval Office today, pledged to send aid to the Bahamas, which he said was hit like few people have ever seen.
We have been sending through the United States Coast Guard, who have been incredible. They're on the Bahamas right now, and they're helping with the Bahamas. The Bahamas was, a big section of the Bahamas was hit like few people have seen before, but we're helping in a humanitarian way. We've been asked to help by the government of the Bahamas, and we have numerous helicopters, and we're sending some people to give them a hand, and they need a big hand. And what's going on over there is incredible. Few people have seen anything like that.
You plan to travel to the Bahamas? Do you plan to travel to the Bahamas?
Well, it's, again, I guess you would call it a British protectorate, but I will do a lot. We just have a call. We're waiting for the call. They're having a lot of trouble with the telephones over there, as you can imagine, from the Prime Minister, and we're helping a lot. And the Admiral just said we're sending a lot of resources over there to help people on a humanitarian basis. But I would do that if we think it's appropriate. I would stop there, yeah.
Dozens of international press on the ground today, many of them broadcasting live throughout the day. Major networks led newscasts last night and all day long, bringing the massive destruction in focus to the world. Images from Abaco and Grand Bahama are making the rounds in the daily and nightly news cycles. Among the many famous media personalities on the ground was anchor of the CBS Evening News, Norah O'Donnell.
Well, we just flew in with the U.S. Coast Guard and saw some of the devastation. And I've been to the Bahamas many times. You will never meet kinder people than in the Bahamas, so I'm deeply worried about people. Yeah.
What has the response been in the United States?
I think there's deep concern. I think there's a very deep concern about the devastation here that this hurricane has brought to people.
Are you going to go to the islands?
I'm trying to, yes. That's why I'm here. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the interest.
Large part of this storm has played out in social media over the past few days. Our Jessica Robertson is at the board tonight, taking a look at how this is all playing out and how social media has really changed not just hurricane coverage, but how we have viewed and how we continue to see this hurricane, which is now in the aftermath stage. Jess?
Thanks, Jerome, very much. And I'm here with Ravana Appiah, who is a social media consultant. This has been unbelievable, the way that social media has played a role in this particular scenario.
Absolutely. I think it goes without saying that social media has become such a big part of our everyday life that it makes sense that even in emergency situations, people turn to social media to get help. I've seen videos of persons who have gone live so that other persons could see their location and possibly alert officials as to where they are. There are persons who just want to sort of document through in the event that something catastrophic happens. Their family members, they send out messages. So, you know, this particular storm, Dorian, has really shown us the power of social media. It has literally helped people save lives in this instance.
It absolutely has. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Social media. And it's been interesting because particularly with Grand Bahama, because communication stayed up, which doesn't usually... It doesn't often happen that way in something this extreme.
Yeah, I think this time around, a lot of Grand Bahamians, outside of maybe incurring dead batteries or not being able to keep their phones charged because of the power outages or the lack of electricity, I think that may have been the only hindrance, but Grand Bahamians took advantage. I think generally speaking, having gone through so many storms and having gone through this experience so many times, Grand Bahamians know what to do. We know when the storm is announced, when we know how to get prepared, we know what to do in emergency situations. But I think Dorian really tested the limit of everything that we knew storms could do. You know, he tested the limit of that, and he really, you know, it's crazy, but to see the amount of love that has been pouring out, the amount of brotherly love, the amount of attention that has been given, you know, just to your neighbor on the left and the right of you, because you have lost everything together, you know?
So we will look at the social media. It has been used to save lives, literally. I mean, I've talked about it before. I'm in this WhatsApp group. Couple hundred people in Grand Bahama are in there, and it has just been amazing to watch this storm play out through this WhatsApp group, and where to the extent where people are saying, you know, take a pin, you know, show us your location pin. So you're in the attic of your house, we need to know exactly where you are so that somebody can come and get you.
I think that has been one of the most amazing things, being able to geographically tag everyone to say, okay, this is the exact location of this person, please send help here. This is what we need, please send help. I think that has really made a difference. And you know, that's a testament to how far we've come technologically, obviously. And I think this has taught all of us, I think, so many lessons that I hope to see Bahamians apply moving forward, and how to responsibly and effectively use their social media, you know.
Responsibly.
Responsibly.
Marvin Dames spoke to that. We've been speaking to that. And I have to say, it's hard, because you're seeing things come out. You just want to help.
Yes.
So it's understandable that somebody's going to just send it.
Right.
But there has to, at some point, be a time when you stop and say, can I verify this?
So the thing is, we live in a microwave society, right? We have gotten used to having access immediately to information, access to things. So it becomes almost second nature for a lot of people to see and repost. That is the nature of, that is the business of social media. You see it, you share it, you repost it. That is how social media works, right? But in emergency situations, I want to encourage everyone to, it really comes down to responsibility. If you cannot absolutely verify, if you do not know, and then you should say that. If you're going to share it anyway, say, I can't verify this information, but if this is true, this is where we are. You know, I think that is going to be an important lesson for a lot of people moving forward.
Something else I would like to encourage people to do is, if you do go ahead and share something and you then find out that it is not true, delete it. You can delete it.
Delete it. Say, you know, admit that it was an error. Retract it as quickly as possible. Update the post so that other people coming behind are not sharing erroneous information.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen things that are going out, pictures of devastation of Marsh Harbor, and I looked at the picture when it was sent to me. I said, wait a second, there's no bridge in Marsh Harbor.
And that is another thing that I think has been happening as well. Would we have, because at the beginning of the entire Dorian process, there was a lot of imagery, a lot of video coming out of Abaco, yes? What then happened was the storm moved away from Abaco and onto Grand Bahama, but people are sharing these images without specifying these details about locations. So you have a lot of images that are now out that Dorian has also left Grand Bahama, but people, and I said this to someone earlier, I said only people in Grand Bahama know what that looks like. And so we have sort of miscommunications and misfires happening, which is dangerous, especially as rescue efforts continue, especially as we try to gauge the level of devastation that we're seeing.
The other thing that it has done is it's given those of us who are not there access to find out, and that has been an absolute lifeline.
I think there are so many groups, and there have been so many people. I want to personally shout out some Grand Bahamians I know who have been working very hard, like Anastasia, who has been in contact with the command center. Kimberly Mullings, who was based in Freeport, she came home from school, and she has been on the ground, and she's helped so many people, and we appreciate her for that. There's so many people who continue to use their platforms and their audience to really assist everyone who's trying to be helped.
Thank you so much. And you're from Grand Bahama, so I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, is everyone okay?
You know, we had a rough couple of 24 hours. I couldn't find my mom, but we managed to get her in there, and I'm just so supremely grateful for everyone who's making sure that she's okay, even though I can't be there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Back to you, Jerome.
Thank you very much, Robin. She's always happy to come on and talk. Glad your mom's okay. Family's doing all right. Well, the Ministry of Finance today announcing the exigency orders are now in effect. At a morning news conference, it was announced that the government will access funds from a line of credit available from the Inter-American Development Bank. There is an insurance facility through the Caribbean Risk Insurance as well. Deputy Controller Athena Marsh announced how the exigency orders will work.
The exigency order means that individuals who are directly impacted by the hurricane in the affected areas can import approved goods, duty-free and VAT-free. It also means that individuals and organizations who are making charitable donations can import approved goods into the country duty-free and VAT-free. the public should be aware of the following. The tax breaks under the exigency order only apply to the following approved islands: Abaco, the Abaco Keys, Grand Bahama Islands, Sweetings Key, Deep Water Key, and Water Key. For the next 30 days, bottled water, clothing, food for personal consumption, and personal hygiene products will be duty-free and VAT-free for individuals and businesses importing them as donations to registered charities. For the next 90 days, medicine and medical supplies, building materials, tents, cots, bedding materials, mosquito nettings, electrical and plumbing fixtures and materials, household furniture, furnishings and appliances, and electrical generators will be duty-free and VAT-free for individuals and businesses importing these items as donations to registered charities. A number of fees will be waived for 3 months for non-commercial flights bringing in relief goods in the affected islands, including departure tax, customs processing fees, and environmental levies.
Now, applications can be made at the Ministry of Finance. NEMA is also hosting daily meetings with charities wanting to help. They say it's to properly organize where and how aid gets to victims. The Customs Department has also removed some of the approvals that is needed ordinarily to get these supplies to the affected areas to ensure that this happens as quickly as possible. Comptroller of Customs, Janine Moss.
The whole process with the import of these relief items, it's going to be a simplified process. During the first 30 days, there would be no approvals required outside of that which would occur at the border. Okay, so on import, once an entity arrives at the border, the approval process happens right there. Okay, the application form, we have them on the website. They'll be available at the borders for you to be able to download, print, fill out, or we'll have hard copies at the stations. The necessary protocols will still be in place, however, to ensure that no contraband, any other illegal goods are imported by persons who may wish to take advantage of the system. And certainly we would want a recording of these items for record-keeping purposes. Customs officers have been advised through all the ports within the Bahamas of the simplified process, and they are ready and remain poised for a smooth and expedited release of the hurricane relief supplies. The standard process for clearing hurricane relief supplies under the exigency order only applies to approved goods. So we would want you to make sure that you review that list so that there's no confusion at the border. All other goods that are not encompassed on the list, that application can be made to the Ministry of Finance, and we also would have that form at the border for our approval on those items that are not clearly outlined on the list. The Department of Customs is working very closely, hand in hand with NEMA, and we have officers dedicated at the port of entries for the expedited processing of hurricane relief supplies.
Well, we are seeing live pictures from NEMA tonight, where the Prime Minister is expected in any moment to begin a press conference. That press conference was scheduled for 8 o'clock. We did get word that it's been pushed back to 9, so at any moment we're going to switch from our coverage here and take you live to NEMA where the Prime Minister will be addressing the nation. We understand he has recently returned from a flyover of Grand Bahama today and a series of meetings. Okay, we see the Prime Minister entering the room now. We're going to take you live to that press conference at NEMA.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bahamas. We're here again at the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to give another update. Now we have passed through Hurricane Dorian. We will hear from the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Marvin Dames, and then Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert A. Minnis, will give another address. Minister Dames.
Thank you so much, and good evening to all of you. Just a brief update. This morning, myself, accompanied by the Commissioner of Police and the Commodore of the Defense Force, took a trip to the island of Abaco. We did a flyover and landed eventually on Marsh Harbor, where we had an opportunity to meet with the administrator, the police officer in charge on the island, as well as the Defense Force commander. We had a pretty good briefing from the team. We were satisfied that the efforts that they're currently undertaking is moving forward according to plan. They have already begun the process of clearing the streets, making the airports available, creating areas for staging of food and water, search and rescue and recovery, and working hand in hand with our friends from the UK. There is a UK Navy vessel in town, and they are currently staging at the harbor. The harbor was filled with debris. That area is now cleared, and they are distributing food and water to persons in need, and that is moving extremely well. I had the opportunity to speak to the captain of that vessel, along with the Defense Force team that is embedded with that vessel, and they were working assiduously to feed as well as to clear the streets that would have been hindered as a result either of flooding or debris. It is very important to note that these men and women who are currently on that island are working as well to repair certain shelters to ensure that we are able to provide further accommodations for persons in need. The police, on the other hand, are executing their patrols. We continue to send, during the course of the day, police officers in addition to our Marines to the island of Abaco. Tomorrow we will continue in that stead as the airport in Treasure Key is now open, and we will be sending a team there as well. We're also focusing on the Keys, and sometimes we forget about the Keys, but that is also in our plans, and so the Keys are a key focus for us. Hopetown and the other Green Turtle Key and all of the other keys in and around the Abacos. And so the team is very upbeat. They're very organized. They're executing their mandate according to plan. And as we continue to build out, we will see to it that all areas of Abaco is covered. I want to say this. There have been some reports over the last week on social media about mass looting throughout the island. Let me caution those of you who are using social media as a means to spread mischief. It takes away from the overall efforts. It takes very valuable resources away from our recovery and our efforts to assist those persons in great need. And we want people to act responsible. It's important. This is a crisis, and while we may have incidents and they may be isolated or localized, we have to attend to every report, be it false or otherwise. And so we don't want to get in the business of responding to complaints like someone shooting out a helicopter, which was not substantiated. right? Or persons breaking into certain areas, and when officers check, nothing's happening. And it takes away from those persons who are making credible reports. But we understand that these things happen in a crisis, and but we want persons out there to be very responsible. Our law enforcement agencies are in control of Abaco, and we will continue to assert our authority as the days and weeks move on. We have our naval vessels, some that would have already left for Abaco, and we'll be focusing on the Keys and Cooperstown and Treasure Key and those areas that would have been cut off from Marsh Harbor itself. And so we are very confident in our plan. This is not our first time around the track. We as a people have been managing hurricanes now for many, many decades. And so we have some idea as to how to manage it. Albeit, this may have been the worst one, but we still have some idea as to how to manage it. All right? And so, again, you know, the people of Abaco are upbeat, all considering. They have sufficient food and water now, although obviously more will be needed in the days and weeks ahead. But you know, this is still a very difficult road. And we ask that Bahamians near and far join us as and join our Prime Minister as he leads us through this disaster. So thank you so much, and may God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you very much, Minister. We also have here members of the Cabinet, members of the Senate, and Director of NEMA, Captain Stephen Russell, along with other senior government officials. We will now hear from the Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. First, I must apologize for the delay. I've just arrived from Grand Bahama. Good evening, my colleagues, fellow Bahamians and residents, ladies and gentlemen of the press. I wish to once again brief the nation in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian, which has left generational devastation across Abaco and Grand Bahama. I just returned from an initial air assessment flight on Grand Bahama, which was conducted on a U.S. Coast Guard helicopter. Much of Grand Bahama was previously underwater, but Grand Bahama is now cleared. Some homes, businesses, and other buildings and infrastructure were badly damaged. There are a significant number of people in shelters. Then one review from the east, coming central, Sweetings Key and the eastern area had suffered quite a bit of damage to homes. Many were destroyed, roofs were disturbed. But what was most significant, those homes that were built on stilts were not damaged. As we moved into the Freeport area, I can report that the flooding had receded and most homes in Grand Bahama appeared to have received minor damage. Freeport infrastructurally had done well. However, from a humanitarian perspective, we must consider the psychological impact that we would experience at a later date. There are many in Grand Bahama who are suffering. As the Minister of National Security may have said earlier to others before he had entered this room, there have been 20 confirmed deaths on Abaco. We expect that this number will increase. And we will update the public as soon as we have received more further accurate information. I ask you to pray for the families and loved ones of the deceased. fellow Bahamians and residents. So many families have been deeply impacted by the devastation, including those trapped during the storm. Just about every Bahamian throughout the country has been worried about loved ones on the Grand Bahama and Abaco. We have all heard the stories and accounts of looting and other disturbances. Bahamians are distressed that anyone would loot and further the suffering of those affected by this tragedy. This is a terrible disregard for the safety and security of others. Be warned. We will prosecute looters and other lawbreakers to the full extent of the law. We are a country of law. I have mobilized the full resources of the government for search and rescue missions in both Abaco and Grand Bahama. To reinforce security on these islands, additional police and defense force officers have already been deployed. More security personnel were transported to Abaco today. There are approximately 60 Royal Bahamas Police Force officers permanently stationed in Abaco. And quite a number of these officers have lost their homes, yet they are acting with resolve and with bravery in the performance of their duties. They have been working non-stop before and after the devastation of Hurricane Dorian. We will be deploying sufficient officers to maintain the peace and to provide for general law and order. Bahamians are deeply grateful for our first responders who are putting their lives on the line and for their fellow Bahamians and residents. We know there are many Bahamians who are in need of help. I want to assure you that more help is on the way. On Abaco, there is already help on the ground in terms of food and water from local sources. Supplies are on the way from NEMA, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, the Royal Navy of the United Kingdom, and many other sources, including from the private sector. Let me, at this time, thank the private sector for their outpouring of support. There is also other assistance, including Chef Jose Andres of World Central Kitchen. I want to thank the brave men and women of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, staff at our public hospitals and clinic, and other responders for their brave and hard work before and during this crisis. These brave men and women are saving and protecting lives. They are working hard to ease the suffering of those who have lost so much. Carnival Corporation has partnered with Tropical Shipping and NEMA to collect and deliver NEMA-approved food and supplies donated in South Florida for Bahamian residents affected by the storm. Deliveries will begin as soon as the harbors in respective islands have been further cleared and are declared even safer. A contractor was mobilized today to further ensure that our harbors are cleared. The Carnival Corporation and the Mickey and Madeline Arison Family Foundation have also pledged $2 million to the Hurricane Dorian recovery and relief effort. Tropical Shipping is offering friends and family of residents affected by Hurricane Dorian a 50% reduction on some shipping rates. Carnival has pledged to continue with their planned project for Grand Bahama. We were supposed to sign such heads of agreement today, but Carnival has a pledge that that will be signed in a matter of weeks. Disney Cruise Line has also pledged to donate $1 million to relief efforts. Due to the devastating effects of Hurricane Dorian, the Leonard M. Thompson International Airport at Marsh Harbor and the Grand Bahama International Airport at Freeport are presently closed. During the closure of these airports, it is strongly advised that all flights other than search and rescue missions and humanitarian relief flights coordinated through NEMA refrain from operating in the airspace in the vicinity of both airports. This will allow the unencumbered operation of vital life-saving and relief flights. Fellow Bahamians and residents, I also want to thank the first responders from the international community, and especially those from the United States, for their exceptional assistance. There has been an extraordinary outpouring of support at home and abroad from those who want to do whatever they can for Grand Bahama and Abaco. We are welcoming teams from the international community and from our CARICOM friends and neighbors to aid in the response. Many CARICOM leaders have told me that they remember well that the Bahamas stood with them in their hour of need. This includes in Dominica in 2017, after the devastation of Hurricane Irma, which also was hit by Hurricane Maria. CARICOM Chairman Prime Minister Alan Chastanet, the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, and Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley will arrive in the Bahamas tomorrow. We will discuss what support CARICOM may offer toward relief and recovery efforts. In an effort to remain proactive, 150 Defense Force officers from Jamaica will be deployed to both Abaco and Grand Bahama, shared among both, to ensure both safety and security. This afternoon, I met with the United Nations Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief, Mr. Mark Lowcock, and his team. He offered the solidarity and condolence of the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. The United Nations has pledged $1 million in aid. The United Nations will be sending in more experts to help with the relief and recovery efforts, including the provision and distribution of food and water. The United Nations has also extended help in other areas that we might need for recovery. This afternoon, I spoke with President Donald Trump, who has expressed the support of and pledged the assistance of the United States of America for the Bahamas in our time of need. President Trump offered his condolence to me and my family on behalf of the death of my brother, which occurred yesterday. I thanked President Trump for the enormous generosity of the United States, including the work of the United States Coast Guard in helping to rescue the injured and in helping with other logistical support and air transportation. President Trump was delighted that the hurricane damage was confined to 2 islands as opposed to the entire Bahamas. He wanted me to remind others and the international community that Nassau, the economic engine of the Bahamas, still functions. And he informed me that he's certain that I would ensure such information is disseminated to the international community. And I informed him that it would be even better if he were to inform the international community that the Bahamas is still open for business, and he has concurred. Earlier today, I spoke with the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. The Canadian Prime Minister offered his sympathy, thoughts, condolence, and support for the Bahamas. Canada has pledged $500,000 in immediate support. Prime Minister Trudeau noted that Canada is sending representatives to the Bahamas to provide additional assistance and support. Canada is a long-standing friend of the Bahamas. My fellow residents and Bahamians, as Prime Minister, I assure you that no effort will be spared in rescuing those still in danger, feeding those who are hungry, and providing shelter to those who are without homes. Our response will be day and night, day after day, week after week, month after month, until the lives of our people return to some degree of normalcy. The people of the Bahamas are already showing their compassion and love of their brothers and sisters of Abaco and Grand Bahama. Robust charitable efforts are underway across the islands not affected. I want to encourage again Bahamians to keep giving and volunteering with reputable charities with proven track records. This will help bring healing, hope, and restoration to those who are now so desperately in need. In this time of national crisis, I advise Bahamians and residents to get their information from reputable and trusted sources. In the social media age, there is so much news that is fake, inaccurate, and misleading. Do not allow yourselves to be misled by fake news designed to confuse you. As a people, we must stay united in a singular focus during these most difficult times. We are all working together, government, churches, businesses, charities, as well as individuals, to rescue and restore Abaco and Grand Bahama. Mr. John Michael Clark has been appointed as Chair of Disaster Relief and Reconstruction Committee. Mrs. Nicole Campbell, the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, will serve as co-chair. Along with NEMA, the Relief and Reconstruction Committee will help to coordinate our national response in this national crisis. The committee will include a number of private sector and public sector experts and individuals with a range of expertise. A reputable accounting firm will provide oversight to ensure that funds are properly spent. There will be regular reports to ensure accountability. This private sector collaboration is vital in the recovery and reconstruction of Abaco and Grand Bahama, both of which we will rebuild stronger and more resilient. Fellow Bahamians, this is not the time for partisan politics or divisiveness. The Bahamian spirit is resilient and unbreakable. We will meet this awesome challenge with the same mindset that led us to build this chain of islands over generations. Hard work, focus, tenacity, love, and compassion is what we are all about. We will persevere because we are a people of hope. There is something each one of us can do to help. Let us give of our best in this moment of historic tragedy. On its current track, Dorian has the potential to affect parts of the United States southeastern coast and the Canadian Maritime Province. I advise Bahamians in those areas to pay attention to local advisories and to take every necessary precaution to remain safe. Even in our hour of need, let us pray for those citizens and residents of Canada and the United States of America still in the path of Hurricane Dorian. Let me advise the international press and potential visitors that New Providence, Paradise Island, and the other islands of the Bahamas are open to receiving tourists and guests. One of the best ways that people from around the world can show their support and solidarity with the Bahamas at this time is to visit our other islands by air or by cruise ship. One prominent visitor who visited the Bahamas with his wife in February and who loved his visit here pledged to return again February next year. To keep our economy strong, in order to help with recovery and reconstruction, we will need to keep our booming tourist economy vibrant. We must keep our economy strong and resilient in order to bring help in the rescue and recovery of those in need. Most of us has relatives in Grand Bahama and Abaco. They will have to rely on us, especially those of us on New Providence, to rebuild their lives. New Providence must be the bedrock and command center to rebuild both Grand Bahama and Abaco. We will rebuild better and stronger. My fellow Bahamians, in this hour of need, let us make Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 our prayer. Be strong and of good courage. Be not frightened, neither dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. The world is praying for us, including Pope Francis, who prayed today. I invite you, each within your own heart, to pray for our brothers and sisters who have lost their lives or who are suffering because of the hurricane in the Bahamas. In this spirit, let us pray for the dead and for their families. Let us pray for the injured and those in distress. Let us pray for all our first responders. Let us pray for those who are seeking their missing loved ones. Let us pray for one another. And may I humbly ask for your prayers and assure you of my prayers and the prayers of my family. Let us continue to remain steadfast in our faith and to rely on our God, who made heaven and earth and who restores hope and life. Thank you, good evening, and may God continue to bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. At this time, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Is there a coordinated plan to address the growing humanitarian issue right now in Grand Bahama and Abaco? And if so, can you outline that plan for the nation?
I think NEMA would be in a better position to outline that plan. But the answer is yes. The similar plan that's going on in Abaco would only be transferred to Grand Bahama. So we would have already mobilized quite a number of equipment, material, and personnel. So Grand Bahama, it would be easier to mobilize as opposed to Abaco.
Can you mention that 150 of the Jamaican Marines will be there? Will there be any other foreign Marines coming into town to ensure law and order?
You must remember, we are a member of CARICOM. When Dominica was struck, Marines from the Bahamas, at least 50, went to Dominica as part of the CARICOM body. When Haiti was struck, Marines, Defense Force officers from the Bahamas went to Haiti as part of the CARICOM body. So it's only part of the CARICOM body again coming to the Bahamas.
When will officials start?
You had a question?
Prime Minister, we understand that injured persons from both islands are being transported here for assistance. Now with the, I guess, caseload that the hospital here already has, are they being equipped or have they been equipped with the necessary personnel and medication to deal with all of that?
The hospital knew the challenges they would face, and therefore they had opened the relevant facilities. Some individuals are being cared in the Kendall Isaacs gym, and of course you would know that the South Beach Clinic was designed in the event there's any disaster at Princess Margaret Hospital. We can transfer facilities, has all the x-ray facilities within South Beach Clinic, so as to manage disaster should it ever occur.
Can we get clarity on the casualties?
When will government start releasing the identities of people who have died during the storm?
Those individuals, I could not answer that.
Where are their bodies?
Some are being held in Abaco, and others would be transferred to New Crown.
What is the determining the death toll? Because we've been hearing different numbers from Grand Bahama and Abaco. How are officials determining what numbers are added to the death toll each day?
When I touch you, see you, I know you're dead.
Okay,
Next question.
When you just now in your address, you said 20, the toll is 20. So can you provide a breakdown? Was it 3 in Abaco and 17 in Grand Bahama, or?
No, further breakdown would be given at a later stage.
Okay.
More accurate information as it come out would be given, but I want to assure both you and the Bahamas that we expect that number to increase.
Are you concerned that with these widespread reports of the looting, some of which have gone viral all throughout the day, that this could affect humanitarian efforts? And for those who want to come and assist, that their people might not be safe, what can you say in that regard?
That is why I'm addressing, and that's why I'm giving individuals like yourself the real information. And you, I'm sure, would help me to disseminate the factual information to the world and disallow the fake news to be disseminated.
When you travel to Grand Bahama today, which parts of Grand Bahama would you say are more flooded than areas? Because I know Eastern Grand Bahama was supposed to get the brunt of the storm, but I understand West and East may have been flooded. And
I think East is still has some degree of flood. However, no home is below water. Some of the roads may have minimal flooding, but still somewhat passable. Most of the damage would have been east. I did not make it as far as the west, but I was more than delighted to see that Freeport was not as infrastructurally damaged as we had anticipated. However, I cannot speak of the psychological damage and injury that we would see at a later stage. However, the medical community, recognizing that, are very proactive and have their personnel on the ground to deal with the psychological insult that they anticipate. Thank you very much.
As it relates to security on the island,
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will call High Commissioner to CARICOM, His Excellency Reuben Rabing, to close us out in the prayer.
Good afternoon. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed.
You would have just witnessed that press conference coming from NEMA tonight, where the Prime Minister would have just recently returned from Grand Bahama for a flyover. He spoke to the conditions on the island, the fact that the water has not receded completely, and what is still to come. Some significant announcements coming out of that press conference today as well, Jessica. You fielded a couple of questions there at the end, but each day, a different level of sadness. In some instances today, we're up to 20 in the death toll, but you also would have heard the fact that he confirmed that relief efforts are already going in.
Absolutely, and he spent a lot of time talking about all of the aid that is being pledged and is coming in, really detailing that. There is a lot of help coming to the Bahamas. I think the world has certainly taken notice of this one and realizes that there's probably nowhere that could survive this one on their own. We need that village. But he also did talk about, they've addressed the looting concern, social media, and said that there are already 60 police force permanently stationed, and even though many of them lost their homes, they're continuing to do their work. They're going to continue to deploy sufficient officers to maintain peace and to ensure law and order. And he's assured everyone in Grand Bahama and Abaco that more help is on the way.
And of course, this comes out of some social media reports earlier today, I mean last night and earlier today, that went viral about looting. And there were reports of looting and people who were armed. And it's been difficult to continue. It's been difficult to get a lot of information about this because some of the reports are conflicting. You are hearing in some instances, you're seeing these reports, and then you have other people like the folks that were interviewed at the airport who have said outright that there has been some level of looting, but that is for people to survive. And it's not the anarchy that's being portrayed on social media. So it's very interesting. I knew that question would come up today. That was almost inevitable.
It needed to.
Yeah, but it needed to be asked, and I'm happy that it was, and he spoke to it. But, again, I implore people to, as you would have discussed in the previous segment, question the information and be very conscious and mindful of what we share without having any real verification. You can't just go off someone tell you, or my aunt lives in, and she knows someone who knew someone who said.
And I think even this one came out of, boy, if they don't get down there quick, this is what's going to happen,
right.
Which then is kind of like Chinese whispers. Remember the game where you sat in a circle and I started saying something, and by the time you got to the end, it never even resembled what was initially said.
And so, as always, we implore people to be responsible in sharing the information. It'll be very interesting, though, in the coming days, particularly when he has access to the ground and is able to get up close. And the thing that scares me at this point, though, is the body count.
Absolutely. And, we were told last night by the Prime Minister that the numbers will rise. They have. And I think there's still a sense that this is not the end
More
of
to
it.
come. And certainly as the waters recede in Grand Bahama, we'll begin to see even more of that. But we'll continue now with our program. The Bahama Civil Aviation Authority confirming today that they have restricted the airspace over Abaco. The number of relief planes and rescue operations immediately raised a safety issue, they tell me. While they say they want to accommodate everyone waiting to help, they have to be sure that it's safe. But that decision and a seemingly slow response from NEMA may already be frustrating relief efforts.
It seems as if there is no plan in place. There's a bunch of restrictions that just came about today and implemented today. And now for us to get out, we need to sign all kind of stuff and send them to NEMA and do all of this and all of that. When, I got my son over there and I'm trying to get over there. I got my guys with me from the real estate community. We're ready to go. We have supplies. We're ready to move stuff and get to Abaco. 2 jets on the ground as well as helicopter, but then we still can't go nowhere.
But are you willing to abide by the rules by NEMA? Because so many persons are trying to help the affected persons in Abaco.
I completely understand, but when you look at it, how soon are these things going to be implemented? If we reach out to NEMA right now, how soon is NEMA going to allow these things to happen? Because it's a very slow window. You get these people out there with nothing for 2 and 3 days, no food. It's going to start causing havoc, which is the reason why we're getting all these conflicting reports about what's going on in Abaco.
I understand that order is a must, but we do have people like myself who are retired, who are willing and able. And we just need to spring into action quickly, because the longer that we wait, we understand that frustrations are building. You have people that are frantically searching for their family members, and we need to get help to these people. We need to do it in an orderly fashion, but at the same time we have to bind together and do this as one accord.
So you're willing to abide by the new orders?
Without rules, there's chaos. So 110%, but we need to have those down at a rapid pace.
How long are you prepared to wait?
I'm ready to go now. but we need to get those things in order because the longer that we wait, as Mark has said, as Philip has said, we're getting conflicting reports, and in our safety as people that are going in, we need to make sure that that is also protected as well. I don't have a time on which I'm willing to wait, but it needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. This is the first time that we've been faced with something like this ever, so we understand that there are a lot of working parts, but it needs to happen expeditiously.
Water and Sewage Corporation playing a critical role in restoration. Vaughn Aubrey caught up with a team headed into Abaco today.
Water is critical to human survival, and in fact, for many persons in Abaco and the Grand Bahama, salt water has been very detrimental to their survival. The Water and Sewage Corporation has mounted a team, some 18 members, led by Chairman Adrian Gibson, and they're on their way to Abaco to bring relief because they want to get the pumping stations there back online. But in fact, the help that they're taking is not only for the general population, but also for their team members in Abaco. So they have mounted supplies to take to Abaco to help those who work for Water and Sewage Corporation affected by Hurricane Dorian. Chairman Adrian Gibson.
Well, we play a very pivotal role in that we supply the islands with water, one, and also we deal with sewage-related matters as well. Right now, we are going into Abaco because we have a number of concerns. Obviously, we've had to cut the water off to preserve our tanks and other apparatuses, but also to be able to immediately supply the people of Abaco with water once the hurricane passed. We've had a couple of reports of and have a couple of concerns based on the images we've seen with respect to saltwater intrusion in the well field. Some of our staff, because we want to go down there and make sure our staff are well as well, and also to try to get repairs and other technical concerns addressed immediately from generation, the generation at our plants, because BPL is going to be down for a while, so we need to have our own private electrical and generation assets in place to being able to actually provide the water and the sewer services to the people of Abaco.
Executive Cyprian Gibson said the task is to assess the 5 well fields in Abaco.
The concern, of course, is once the waters recede, us being able to bring those back on. And in the event that we're not able to bring them back on, bringing in new facilities, temporary works to provide. Of course, it's getting those to the people. When it comes to potable water, drinking water, we are taking added supplies down.
Thomas Ismangle says, according to early reports, not all pumping stations were damaged.
Luckily for us, we got some preliminary feedback that pumping stations in the south, which is Sandy Point area, those pumping stations were not damaged to the extent where we will not be able to bring them online pretty quickly. Marsh Harbor for us is the hub. Marsh Harbor supplies 1.2 to 1.5 million gallons of water per day. And so Marsh Harbor and Treasure Key is going to be the 2 critical locations that we need to get in, do our technical assessment, and determine what we need to bring those locations back online. Treasure Key, also a very sensitive area for us because it has sewer operation as well as Spring City. So from a health standpoint, those 2 locations will take priority, and we're going to do everything in our power to bring those 2 locations online. But before anything can happen, we need to get in, do a technical assessment to see how quickly we can bring those systems back online.
Well, there you heard it. Members of the Water and Sewage Corporation, led by Chairman Adrian Gibson, are on their way to Abaco to bring real water, not salt water which has been so dangerous for so many in Abaco, but to bring potable water back online. And the task is mammoth. But first, assessment. And this team is ready to fly out to Abaco. I'm Vaughn Aubrey. Back to you in the studio.
Well, a physician has already organized a volunteer group of medical professionals to help treat the injured. Dr. Linwood Brown sent out a call for volunteers. Yesterday, he got a theater full at the Fusion Super Complex.
At this stage, based on the video footage as well as the pictures coming out of Grand Bahama and Abaco, we saw a lot of human suffering. And based on historical facts, following disasters like these, there are a lot of medical illnesses, a lot of injuries that go unaccounted for. We tend to only focus on the deaths, but there's a lot of human suffering and injuries happens during disasters. So my effort is to bring a team of trained Bahamian and foreign medical personnel together and in a calculated and strategic way offer assistance to both Abaco and Grand Bahama. I made a call on WhatsApp and the response was outstanding. In less than 8 hours, we were able to mobilize the people you see here. And there's more to come. And all medical professionals. The call was wide. We asked for medical doctors, nurse practitioners, nurses. During natural disasters, the medical professionals are first to spring into action. It's based on our training, based on our compassion, based on our calling. So despite whatever issues they may have had with government, all that is set aside now. Right now it's time to bring the country together, time to bring healing to the nation in not only a physical but also psychological manner.
The human spirit is resilient. We refuse to go under. And so I just pray that we could take a national approach and that we will go forward and do the best we can. And this will be a time of healing.
I have a couple of pharmacists who have volunteered to donate medicines. So yes, we're going to do a list of what is the possible medicines needed now, even though this is what we call trauma. There are people who had pre-existing stuff that may be out, may have gotten wet, may have gotten lost. They probably will need us as well. So we're going to take a list of inventory when we get our supplies in and try to see how best we can distribute them to the persons who need it most.
You want to send supplies to the islands, there are any number of organizations willing to receive. Jessica Robertson is with the owner of Bahamas EVAC, a company that is ready to help. Jess?
Hi, so we are here with Nico Gibson, Bahamas EVAC. What is Bahamas EVAC?
Bahamas EVAC, we're an air ambulance company based right here in Nassau, Bahamas. Our specialty is emergency services, and we're just trying to do our part to help.
So what exactly are you planning to do? I know that you were hoping to get out before now. That hasn't happened. Some of that was addressed in an earlier segment that we had. But you've got your clearance from NEMA, so you're ready to go out tomorrow. What are you going to be doing?
So tomorrow the focus is just going to be getting supplies in. We've been getting calls over the last couple of days. The support from the international community as well as the response from the local Bahamians has been simply amazing. I'm so proud to be a Bahamian. The Bahamian people are really resilient, so I have no doubt whatsoever that we're going to come through this and we're going to succeed. You know, God has been awesome to all of us. We've experienced something similar like this with Joaquin a couple of years ago, and I myself from Crooked Island, you know, we've experienced that. You know, not this level of devastation, but something quite similar. So our response is just, you know, just get in, get involved, and do what we can.
So what kind of items are you going to be taking in?
Okay, well, actually, you know, we've been advocating to the public. I've opened my office as well to receive relief because we're going to be also doing flights into Abaco and Freeport as well. We have a number of private organizations along with myself. We've partnered with Global Tours Travel here in Nassau, CPI Security Systems out of North Carolina. We've been able to raise $150,000 in relief efforts so far. We're encouraging more and more people to just, you know, just come in, step up, and help us get the relief that we need to these people.
So how is it going to work? People bring it in. You guys are going to fly it into the areas of need, and then you're just the transportation. You're not distributing.
No. So we are coordinating. I've spoken personally with the Commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and everybody's been extremely supportive. We've spoke with Captain Russell and NEMA. Everyone has been doing an amazing job. The first responders. Like I said, we're just so happy that everyone is working together. As you know, it was a little bit of a challenge. We've never dealt with anything to this magnitude in the aviation industry as far as, you know, organizing all of these flights. Everybody wants to help out, all the local airlines, all the private airplanes, and everybody's just, you know, locked in and ready to go. But unfortunately, you know, we have to make sure that in aviation we don't get anybody hurt while we're doing that. So while I do understand the necessity to go in, there's a lot of U.S. military helicopters that are flying low constantly. And as you're aware, those areas are uncontrolled by air traffic. So there's a really bad traffic flow. So we're just trying to make sure that we get all of that properly coordinated. And like I said, I've spoken with Ms. Julia Brotway at the Bahamas Civil Aviation, Mr. Donald Barrett. Everybody has been amazingly supportive, and they are really pulling together and doing an amazing job.
So it's frustrating, but understandable.
It is very understandable.
Well, we thank you, everybody. Here is where you can go. 323-1162 is the office. It's East Street Plaza. Or where are you flying out from if people needed to bring
We
it
will
there?
be flying out from Jet Aviation. Also, there's another airline company that's also stepped up to the plate, Golden Wings. They've been doing an amazing job as well. Mr. Cameron Roach over there, he's a really good friend of mine. Like I said, I just want to commend everybody that's stepping in and stepping up, just putting our differences aside and just getting this job done.
People need it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Back to you, Jerome.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Great work you're doing there, Nico. We really appreciate it. The Salvation Army, one of two official aid agencies for the hurricane, is gathering relief supplies for the affected areas. As an international agency, they are already getting donations from abroad. Those supplies and volunteers will be dispatched to affected islands. For now, though, they are preparing as many relief packages as possible for the victims.
We are mounting a major relief effort to help those on the Family Islands. Right now we're amassing some materials to send over there. We've got about 100 pallets of food and supplies sitting in Florida to get there. There's over 30,000 meals in that supply. We also are planning to send teams over there to assist. We have, of course, a Salvation Army presence in Grand Bahama and a kitchen over there, so we will be providing meals and other relief supplies. We have been talking with NEMA, of course, and we will be coordinating our efforts through NEMA. We are the agency which will be processing the clothing and things for the Family Islands that are donated here in Nassau. We are also gathering financial donations and purchasing a lot of items here to send over there to help with the relief efforts. So we are just in the very beginning days of this relief effort, which we see going on for several months, and several teams coming through. We will be setting up a bit of a headquarters here to organize the effort and coordinate things, and hopefully as conditions improve on the islands, we will be able to move some of those activities to the Family Islands affected.
Major Clarence Ingram, the divisional commander, says they need more donations and volunteers.
For NASA, the best thing to do is to come right here to the Salvation Army and drop off donations here. They can donate through the website. We have Salvation Army Bahamas. There's a link there that they can make financial donations right on our website. They can also just come by the office here and make donations. I think people already know that we're here and part of the group of agencies that help during disasters. So people, I think, already recognize our presence and what we do. So we're just raising the flag a bit to say now is a good time to support us, and we will make sure that the donations that are received reach those that are most in need.
Well, that growing list of celebrities lining up to help includes a group willing to provide hot meals to victims of Dorian. On the ground already are a number of chefs led by Jose Andres of World Central Kitchen. He and his team are ready to cook thousands of meals in the affected islands.
When we saw that was coming through very much the heart of these two beautiful Bahamian islands, we thought, oh, let's send one of the teams to Bahamas and let's leave the other teams in Florida. So I came with one of the teams. I'm the founder of the organization, but when I can, I'm always hands-on. And we've been here three days and a half, letting the Bahamian government know that we are here to serve. that they can use us for anything they want, but they have many issues to fix on their own in terms of they have to take care of all the survivors. They need to do a lot of search and rescue missions, a lot of medical missions, and sometimes nobody thinks about the food, but we are coming to take a problem out of the hands of everybody and try to assess the situation. And the question is, how many people obviously are affected? We see that everybody is affected. How many meals are we going to have to do, and how are we going to make that happen? So this is all the questions, and we are
logistics.
It's pure logistics. Cooking is easy. Distribution is what is difficult. So are we going to do the cooking in Nassau initially, and we're going to be by helicopter and boat every day, establishing contact and bringing to the 2 islands, and then finding ways to deliver in the different zones and keys. First, we're going to concentrate, obviously, in Abaco and Grand Bahama. And we are trying to do kitchens in the islands because it will be much easier and closer to be cooking next to the people. And then we can establish how we're going to distribute. If it's going to be water for the next days or weeks, we are trying to bring already from Fort Lauderdale on a boat we have. We are bringing amphibious vehicle that we hope is going to be very good. Even if the water is going to be around, we will be able to be moving between the different parts of the island that are undercover, because again, we can, it's like a truck that is like a mini boat. So it's good for do distribution from shelter to shelter or whatever is needed.
Well, the Ministry of Education announcing that schools in the Northwest Bahamas will open on Monday, except those in Abaco and obviously in Grand Bahama. Finally, tonight, in the midst of the sadness and uncertainty, we came across some youngsters who managed to, let's say, make the best of a bad situation.
Now, there are a lot of people who are hurting and assessing the damage from Hurricane Dorian, but a group of young people from nearby Big Pond decided to use the pond here to take in kayaking. And with me is Daquan. Why did you do this?
Because we bored over there, and we just wanted to feel the waters. It was nice. Just to chill in the waters.
How does the water feel?
Man, it feel like a no limit type water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
you're not afraid?
No, sir.
So, in terms of the storm, did the storm bother you? What you thought about what has been happening in Abaco and Grand Bahama?
Man, that's really hurtful, but we gotta recover.
You think you can help?
Yeah, I could help.
What would you do if you could help them?
Man, donate as much stuff as possible. Yeah.
Do you have any family in Abaco or Grand Bahama?
No, sir.
Well, these young people, as we can see, these young people are really in tune with what's happening. So, just before we close, how long do you plan to be out here?
I mean, I was going home in a minute.
Yeah? But you've been out here a little while.
About 20 minutes.
Does the water scare you?
No. I mean, like, I'm afraid to go out there, but once I'm close to the bridge and I can get back to land, I'm not afraid.
Can you swim?
Yeah, I can swim.
Okay, most of you can swim?
No, they can.
There you have it. I can tell you, even though this is not a school day because of Hurricane Dorian, these young men have decided to make the most of their time by kayaking on Big Pond. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Vaughn. You know, every once in a while, even in the midst of a tragedy, we have to find a reason to smile. And we're going to try and do that as much as possible when it's appropriate. And I thought that was a good way to end tonight. Just before we go, I know you've got some news to pass on about something that happened earlier tonight.
Yes, absolutely. I forgot to say during our segment with China, the beautiful puppy dog who came in from Marsh Harbor, that if Stephen Roll, who is her daddy, I posted the picture earlier because I thought it was such a great story, and a friend of mine who is a dog groomer reached out and said if he can get in touch with her, then she'd love to give China a grooming. She needs a good bath after what she's been through. So Stephen Roll, if you see this, if anyone knows Stephen Roll, ask him to get in touch with us here at the station, 802-6397. Just send a WhatsApp, let us know who you are, and we'll put you in touch with that.
Great stuff. And you know, We're never to discount the loss of human life or the tragedy and the hurricane and the fact that people are displaced, but we have to remember the pets as well. They are too defenseless, and we have to remember them. Just some news to pass on to you tonight before we go. Alive recently announced just a few moments ago that service has been restored in Marsh Harbour, West End, Grand Bahama, as well as 8 Mile Rock, Grand Bahama, and there is also service in Abaco. So in Marsh Harbour, and then over in Grand Bahama, West End, 8 Mile Rock. Also, Alive announcing that 250 free minutes will be given to all Alive subscribers in Abaco and Grand Bahama. You can also get free roaming and received calls for those on any Digicel Caribbean network. So those plans will be in place later today and tomorrow. So 250 free minutes as well as service restored to Marsh Harbour, West End, 8 Mile Rock. And so, folks, if you have family, loved ones, friends that you're trying to reach in any of those places, Alive is happy to announce tonight that service has been restored. Kudos to the folks at Alive who I can tell you have been working around the clock even before this storm arrived to try and keep connectivity and certainly to restore it quickly to those areas where it's so needed. We know the importance of communication. Jess, we've got a big day again tomorrow, a lot going on. We're going to be back here tomorrow night.
We're here for as long as it makes sense for us to be here.
Most definitely. Okay, folks, so tonight that's going to do it for our program. Thank you so much for watching. We'll leave you with some very important videos from some folks who want you to know that they're doing just all right.
Ready? Yeah, I just want to let Lois Johnson, the Lutra, know that I just went out in Murphytown and located her daughter Audrey and Taco. They're all safe and they have some food. I told them they volunteered to stay at the house, but I tell them I'll bring some food back for them when they run out. But they volunteered to stay where they are. But they're good and fine. Thank you.
Okay, to my family in Nassau, this is your brother Joseph Knowles in Abaco. My sister Barbara Major, Daphne Williams, Richard, all the rest of my family. Don't worry about me, I'm fine. My house got damaged, my cars, but God be the glory, I'm good. I'm planning to Nassau as soon as I can get out here to see you guys. We thank you for the concerns. I'm fine, all my family is fine. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is me, all kids. I can't even speak properly now because that's how happy I am where God has brought us from. These my nieces and nephew, we all in the church. Yeah. It was so bad. We had to stay in the bus every night from the storm. But God kept us. We sing songs to the Lord. We pray through the whole thing. That's what we did. Yeah. And we stay in the church and in the bus. Yeah. Sleep in the bus, cook and eat in the church. Yeah. And we carrying on the work for the Lord. Amen. Amen. Me and my niece right here, Christine, we go every week, feeding the poor, praying for them, caring for the sick and the shut in. God bless you all and keep strong. Yeah. Mommy working for the Lord. Tell Dr. McPhee and Mother McPhee I'm fine. But we did not know phone connection over here. God bless you all. Keep safe. Love you all. Amen. I have a niece in there. Her name is Bria Hill. I wanted you to know that Grammy is okay and everybody is doing fine. Do not panic. We are all safe. Yeah. Thank God, because God has been good to all of us. Yes. And Salvin and Marvin and Lyndon, everybody, all the Dean family in Nassau, we are good. Thank God. We give God all the praise. And Addie, Marilyn Ingram is fine. All the Ingram family, we good. Thank God for life. And G, Sabrina is fine. The Thompson family is great. We all doing great. Thank God.